Yorana from Tahiti, and welcome to Filled with His Love. You know, Elder Bednar recently gave an address entitled Things as They Really Are 2.0. I believe this will be a classic, frequently quoted talk in the future. Artificial intelligence has been sneaking up on us, month by month, year by year. I say sneaking up because we seldom notice it. We just like how it makes our life easier. We don't even call it AI, we call it a feature on our phone or whatever other device we're using. But it's there, behind the scenes, all the time. When I opened my iPad to write this podcast, the iPad recognized my face. I didn't need to enter any password or username. That's AI. If I want to play a song on my external speakers, I ask Siri to play the song and it plays. That's AI. I dictate a text message and send it. AI. Driver assist features on the car I used to drive keeps my car in the lane. AI. I use Google Maps to help me find a missionary's home here in Tahiti. AI. Our lives are filled with examples of artificial intelligence. So Elder Bednar's talk was especially timely, particularly because there are many who believe it poses dangers if we use it inappropriately. And you can read a lot about that if you'd like. It's all over the internet. If you haven't heard the talk of Elder Bednar, I strongly recommend you take a listen. He begins by counseling young people to avoid relying on AI in their relationships. I've always thought it was pretty strange that some people like to create avatars with all the human characteristics they seek in a friend. Somehow, digital friends have never appealed to me. I prefer real people, actually. But Elder Bednar knows that some young adults use AI in a variety of ways that could ultimately damage their person-to-person relationships. This is a podcast on relationships, filled with his love. So my favorite quote from his talk comes when he is talking about AI and moral agency and its effect on relationships. Listen, I was reminded of the conversation I had with a church leader who said that President Boyd K. Packer once asked those in his audience to answer the following question. If I had every principle of the gospel of Jesus Christ written on a separate note card, and I accidentally dropped the pile of note cards on the floor, which one would you pick up first? Which principle is the most foundational, the most fundamental of all gospel laws and principles? Agency, moral agency. Every principle, President Packer said, rests on our ability to choose. We learn this in the temple endowment. The reason Lucifer was cast out of heaven was because he rebelled against God the Father and wanted to prohibit all of God's children to use their agency. I found it so compelling that a centerpiece of Elder Bednar's talk on AI was moral agency. Here's what he said. And it has so many implications. We'll talk about them for relationships. Elder Bednar's words, the fundamental purposes for the exercise of agency are to love one another and to choose God. The very purpose of the creation and of our mortal existence is to see if you and I will choose and act to become what the Lord invites us to become. That's a direct quote from Elder Bednar. Let me just read it one more time. The fundamental purpose for the exercise of agency are to love one another and to choose God. The very purpose of the creation and of our mortal existence is to see if you and I will choose and act to become what the Lord invites us to become. I've often talked about the first and second great commandments, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Elder Bednar's point was that AI can inhibit us from using our God-given agency, the most important gift he has given us. If we use AI inappropriately, we can be acted upon by it. It can inhibit our ability to act for ourselves, to do many good things of our own choosing. If members of the Quorum of the 12 have themes in their ministries, I would say that this is certainly one of Elder Bednar's. He has spoken on so many occasions of how essential it is for us to act for ourselves and not be acted upon, as stated in 2 Nephi 2:26. However, this is the first time at least in my memory. I have heard him link that principle to our relationship with God and with others. Relationships are built on moral agency. A healthy relationship cannot develop unless both parties choose to love each other. This happens when somebody says, well, I'm not sure if this is the right wife for me or the right husband for me. And I say, well, it has to be right for both of you. You both have to choose. You have to choose each other. And hopefully, in the process, also choose God to be part of your relationship. So love is a choice, and it goes further. A healthy relationship is where both parties choose to give each other full, unfettered space to choose for themselves. That's really important to me. In other words, as marriage partners or even with friends, we want to make it fully possible for the other person to exercise their agency. The more each one nurtures moral agency in the other, the stronger and healthier the relationship becomes. Of course, the opposite is also true. The more one party tries to control the other by limiting their power to choose, the more the relationship suffers. Agency and love, so intertwined. Elder Bednar has often modeled the importance of moral agency when he teaches. He has warned that teachers themselves can act upon learners in ways that limit the student's power to choose. And I find it interesting that he has used technology in positive, creative ways to allow students to have a voice as he teaches them. If you watch his talk in the video version, you will see how effectively he uses technology, even as he's speaking about warning us against the improper use of technology. I attended one session where Elder Bednar was speaking to a worldwide audience and asked listeners to text him their questions. This was the first time I'd ever seen that. In other words, rather than delivering a prepared message of his choosing, he asked students to do the choosing. He asked questions to ask questions they wanted answers to. Think how such approaches enhance the relationship between teacher and learner. It opens the learner up. It gives the learner power to kind of direct what's happening rather than yielding all the power to a teacher to kind of tell us what that teacher thinks we need to know. Now, think of a relationship that you would characterize as healthy. How does each party nurture the agency in the other? Why does each person in the relationship feel somewhat liberated by the other to pursue personal goals? How does each person build the other person, thus amplifying moral agency? These are important questions. Now, think of a troubled relationship. How does each person limit the other's ability to choose? Why does one or both feel restricted by the other? Why is one or both reluctant to express how they really feel? Why does one or both avoid making the choices they need to make to improve the relationship? I think you'll see that agency is at the heart of our relationship with God and with others. Choosing to love God or choosing to love a family member or friend are the ultimate choices we make in life. These are the most important choices we make. All other choices are minuscule in comparison. We make so many choices every day. What to eat, what to buy, where to go for this or that. But all of these choices are so minor compared to the choices we make about love. President Hinckley once said, "In the marriage companionship, there is neither inferiority nor superiority. The woman does not walk ahead of the man, neither does the man walk ahead of the woman. They walk side by side as a son and daughter of God on an eternal journey." I've always loved this quote. Although he didn't mention the word, President Hinckley was talking about the moral agency in relationship. If one spouse is superior to the other, then agency is not being honored. Equal partnership, walking side by side, as he said, means that each spouse sees the other as offspring of God. Agency is the key. So the question that Elder Bednar made me ask myself is, are there ways I might exercise my moral agency more effectively that will enhance my relationship with God and with others? Elder Bednar said we use our agency to choose God, a little bit like President Nelson asking us to let God prevail. Are there ways I could improve in this regard? I'm sure there are many. Agency and love. These are the two things that I want you to think about. So, as you think about agency and love, think about we can choose to listen without judging, resist taking offense, give deserved specific praise, express gratitude, be quick to observe, freely forgive, remain open to inspiration, rejoice together, show love. The list could go on and on, but the point is that all of these acts require agency. We choose to show love. We choose to rejoice together. We choose to be grateful. Elder Bednar warns us against AI's potential to interfere with our agency. And what is the most tragic consequence of such interference? Relationships. Our ability to give and receive love from God and from others. So I hope you'll take a look at your own relationships and see if there might be a way to strengthen a relationship, no matter how troubled or how healthy the relationship is at present, by exercising your divine gift of moral agency. Hope this has been helpful. I hope you'll take a listen to Elder Bednar's talk, and we look forward to seeing you next time.